Chicagoan you need to know, working with young activists to create change here in Chicago and across the country.
Here's more on what the Black Youth Project 100 and Charlene Carruthers are all about.
Liberation comes when Black people love each other and we protect each other. And we don't depend on the state to solve everything for us, but the state has a responsibility not to commit violence against us.
BYP 100 is a national organization of young Black activists between the ages of 18 and 35 who engage in grassroots organizing here in Chicago and all across the country for the sake of Black liberation. The members of BYP 100 don't fit in a box. We're all kinds of ways, all kinds of people. We come from the South and West Side. We come from the North Side of Chicago. We immigrate from outside of the United States of America. We're people who move, and we're people who love Black people. And so our members, again, we're between the ages of 18 and 35, and that's because we said young Black people actually are disproportionately impacted by multiple systems of oppression, and that we are well positioned to determine what needs to change in the world.
I think it's an exciting time in terms of organizing in Chicago. BYP 100 and some of the other groups doing organizing work in this city that are really being led by young Black folks is super crucial in making an intervention and kind of taking hold of the story that gets told about us and taking hold of a narrative that wants to place the blame on folks who are being impacted by systems that are not created by us or for us.
It's a home for me, and to be around folks that really are dedicated to movement work and getting to a place of liberation. I had always been involved in electoral politics and policy work, but BYP 100 to me was that place that I could have this radical politic and be a place that I can build community.
Even though we come from many different places, we believe that we can organize through what we call a Black queer feminist lens, and we can actually actualize abolition, if not in our lifetime, for the future generations to come. As we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, we know that the movement he was a part of used civil disobedience, used protests, and actually leveraged that into political power and to engage people and educate people in order to transform the world.
Now, please welcome Black Youth Project 100 National Director, Charlene Carruthers. Hi, Charlene. Oh, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me, why do you think this current climate, cultural, political climate, BYP 100 is desperately needed now?
Well, you know, I'm so excited to be here today on MLK Day. It's the perfect day to talk about our work. We are living in times of chaos for many people, of desperation and violence and conflict. And an organization like BYP 100 is actually full of young Black people who believe that something better is different, and not just better, but something transformational.
Yeah.
And so now is the time for all young people, particularly young Black people here in Chicago and across the country, to engage in social change work.
Now, we talked at the top of the show about what would MLK say today about the political climate. What do you think he would say?
Well, when we look at the latter part of MLK's life before he was murdered, before he was assassinated, he spoke deeply about eradicating poverty. He spoke about fair housing right here in Chicago. He talked about job creation. He worked with sanitation workers. And so I believe today Dr. King would be fighting for many of the same things he fought for towards the end of his life, unfortunately. And he'd be fighting against many of the same types of opponents today. And he would have, as he had then, many people working alongside him to build an actual movement to fight against our opponents.
Is the way BYP 100 operates, is that kind of a statement on older generations and how maybe they advocated for change? How do you guys do it so differently?
Yeah, so BYP 100 has always been intergenerational. And what I mean by that is that we are deeply influenced by our elders and movements before us. So people like Ella Baker, Dr. King, Marsha P. Johnson, Assata Shakur. And so we see it as an evolution and connecting movements that have come before us, not for the sake of saying, y'all all did it wrong, we're gonna do it better, but we actually take a critical look at what worked well and what we wanna do differently.
Why do you think some of the, not all of them, some of the older generation has a problem with BYP 100? Do you think they've gotten too polite, or you guys are too radical? What is it?
Well, you know, I think what's really important in this moment is, what's been important for us is to build relationships with people who want to rock with us, with the older folks who are like, we believe in what you're doing, and we're going to work with you, and we're going to say, hey, you know, this isn't working the best way it could, and give us critical feedback in a loving way, and not in a way that's actually meant to stop the work from happening.
Right. Are you seeing a little bit of both of that?
At different points. I think that people like Dr. Barbara Ransby and Kathy Cohen right here in Chicago, I think of multiple older folks or elders, or what we call OGs in the movement, who show up for us every single day, and that's who I keep my eyes on. Those are the people who I know are invested in our leadership and invested in our work.
Do you feel let down by the current politicians and sort of the infrastructures of society that's supposed to be looking out for your interests?
Right. Not just nationally, but locally too.
Yeah, well, you know, we're no strangers to protesting against Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Many people know us. Many people know us for that. And as you know, and I talked about in the video, we don't expect the city or the state to do everything for us. What we do expect is that young black people, young black trans women can walk down the street without being criminalized. We expect for 50 public schools to not be closed while the Chicago Police Department is invested in. We expect the government to not actually harm us, but to actually put the resources that should be put into mental health care, into public schools, and into job creation.
Right. How important is they agree. How important is it social media in your organization?
Well, you know, so I get to work with amazing young black people every single day here in Chicago and across the country. And our bread and butter is our relationships, people meeting face to face. And so we use social media to amplify the work that we do. And I'm so happy that you all talked about the Obama Center earlier, because our organization is a part of a local coalition here fighting for a community benefits agreement. And what that really is about is many of the same things Dr. King fought for, making sure that low-income housing and also homeowners are protected, making sure that black business owners and black workers actually benefit from the center.
So are you for or against it then?
What I'm for is an Obama Center that actually agrees to a community benefits agreement. And if that happens, absolutely.
If they don't agree, will you still support?
What I'll do is continue to push. Like, you know, that's what we're about. Like, the fight isn't over just because at one moment after it's built, whether or not a community benefits
even if they don't sign
up.
the agreement, but they do the things that you want in the agreement without a formal signature on agreement, you'll still be in support or no?
If they do the stuff we want, that's you know, that's what's important to us.
And the big thing is creating Chicago jobs, right?
Particularly for black folks who are living on the south side of Chicago, right? Where their center is going to be built. And so we're talking about that online, and we're in coalition with a number of organizations across Cocoa, Bronzeville. There's several people and organizations that we're working with to make that happen.
Charlene, thank you so much.